Welcome to our 5 on 5. Please welcome back Jackson County Clerk Chris Walker. Good to see you again. How are you today?
Good seeing you, Craig. I'm great.
So nice little warm up to what I'm sure will be a very busy 2020 for you.
Yes.
We have an election here in Jackson County in about a month's time. Just one thing on the ballot, which is fascinating. Before we get there, what is the deadline to register?
Registration deadline is October 15th. So coming up Tuesday, October 15th. So if you're currently not registered, that would be that deadline for you to get that taken care of.
Yeah, only 1 week to go. That's
good
timing. All right, so we have this one measure on the ballot. Is it a simple majority, pass or fail?
Simple majority. Any May or November election, it is a simple majority on bond or money measure. They call that ad valorem tax, anything that's going to add to your property taxes.
Okay, and so yes, as you mentioned, it's going on property taxes. What can you detail out what this bond is for?
My understanding, it's a $28 million bond to support and purchase new digital equipment for the emergency communications here in Jackson County. That, in a nutshell, is what it is.
Yeah, the local dispatch center, I believe.
You got
this
it.
is what it might be for people who don't understand the ins and outs of it. Yeah. So even though it's one measure on the ballot, it's a tax measure, which usually draws a turnout. It's obviously no presidential election or even a midterm. Do you have any instincts for what percent turnout you're going to have for this?
You know, I could go right in the middle and say 50%, but I really think it could be 30, 40, 50%. It's really hard to say because it is a single measure on the ballot, and those just don't happen that often, especially here in Jackson County. So it'll be interesting to see how people turn out. But traditionally, when it does affect your bottom line, it is a money measure, and it will increase your property tax bill. People tend to turn out for those elections.
Interesting. Okay, and so you were recently in D.C., because we're going to get into some technology changes in part 2 of this interview, but you were recently in D.C. Meeting with people in your industry, if you will.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was great. We had a cybersecurity conference through CISA is what it's called, another acronym. We're famous for that.
One, yeah.
But in the long and short of it, through the Department of Homeland Security to talk about 2020, about the upcoming big presidential elections. Cybersecurity, of course, was the focus, but physical security as well. Talking a lot with all of the different divisions, Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, Secret Service. There was every organization you can imagine at this conference. So a lot of things that, as an election official, we're not particularly cybersecurity experts, but we have the expectation to at least have implemented that to within our systems, as well as to be mindful of that. So really important we educate ourselves as elections administrators on the issues at hand.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the cool election technology you guys are using this election coming up in about a month. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our 5 on 5 here with Jackson County Clerk Chris Walker. Only have a week to go before you can, the registration deadline ends for this November election. Just one issue on the ballot. We could have talked about it, a property tax measure for emergency communications of Southern Oregon. You guys are doing something really cool, very rare this time, this election cycle, a Votes app. What exactly is this?
Well, the Votes app was developed, and we had the opportunity to be able to participate in a pilot program. Keep in mind, it is just a pilot. And we are about the 4th or 5th jurisdiction around the country to be able to do so for this. So it's very new technology. Now, technology, just like anything, can make people a little nervous, but we also find even new voting machines. Everything that we do can be subject to hackers or vulnerabilities. Well, with this Votes app, we are providing accessibility for a certain group of voters. That would be our UOCAVA voters. Again, another famous elections acronym, which are basically, in a nutshell, our military and overseas voters. So under 400 people in Jackson County qualify to use this new Votes app to vote their ballot and access their ballot.
Yeah, so we still do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to mail it in or drop it off, but just less than 400 people will be able to do it in next month's election overseas via their cell phone.
In a pilot program, and it was particularly useful in this election. We had the Universal Postal Union that we weren't sure if the U.S. was either going to drop out of that. Now, the UN did resolve some of those issues with that, but we were in a crisis, and you never don't take advantage of a good old-fashioned crisis. We knew that once we send ballots out, if the U.S. dropped out of the Universal Postal Union, they may not only receive those ballots, but they may have no way to get those ballots back to us. It was that big of an issue in the world. So we felt it's a perfect opportunity to partake in this pilot program. We not only can allow accessibility based on that voting app to these particular class of military and overseas voters, but they can also send that ballot back to us securely and safely. So we felt it was important. Let's be part of the solution, provide accessibility, and I'm never going to be that public official that says, I know there's a method we can get them and receive their ballots back, but we're not going to do it. We want to make sure that all of our military particularly can have their voice heard in this process.
Every single vote counts.
Absolutely.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you,
Appreciate
Craig.
it.
Thank
All right.
you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.